Issues of skills development, of skills shortage, competence, an enabling regulatory framework to allow us to grow the sector. The industry is also facing issues within themselves, that there are different sectors within the maritime sector that needs to talk a common language and a common understanding. It is facing issues of transformation, and this is both competence, efficiency,
Sure.
and of course within our social structure.
Yeah. So when you discuss with government, when you sit down with them, what sense are you getting? Is there an agency within government that these issues ought to be addressed, particularly the issue around skills development?
We're very heartened, of course, by our new minister, Mr. Minister Maclons, with some of his opening remarks that he made, and he shows a keen interest.
Yeah.
The answer to your question is government addressing skill shortage? Yes, but it also recognizes that it needs the support of industry.
Yeah. So give us a sense of just how dire the situation is. I mean, we know when you talk about skills development, almost every sector that you look at, you can point at and say there isn't skills development. How bad is it in your industry?
It is, well, I wouldn't use the word bad, but it is becoming a lot more urgent. We have an aging skills profile, and there are not enough youngsters coming into the system, specifically on board ships, with specialized sectors like mooring masters, chief officers. So yeah, there is a little bit of a shortage, which will stymie us a little bit as we go into the next phase of our country and of the region's growth.
Yeah, of course, young people are attracted by a growing industry where the opportunities for career advancement are maybe many more than other industries. From where you sit, where is the South African maritime industry in terms of its development and growth potential?
It's amongst the seafaring population, in other words, those individuals and people that will work on board ships. It is the stevedoring, the shoreside support structure, and then the more specialized in the offshore oil and gas, in particular with marine engineers, marine scientists, and the professional mariners. We are doing a fair amount of work with SAMSA in terms of creating the awareness, specifically in schools, because that's where it starts, and then we will build on the enabling infrastructure like maritime colleges, FET colleges, and perhaps a maritime university.
Yeah. So there is a lot of opportunity for the industry to grow. But South Africa, of course, has been a seafaring nation for quite a long time. In terms of growing that the sector where you play it, how much opportunity would you say there is compared to, say, newer nations where they are finding oil and gas like Mozambique, you go up the coast, Tanzania, Kenya, etc.?
The growth certainly from where we stand is not in South Africa. It's a mature market.
Sure.
We don't have enormous offshore oil and gas exploratory activities.
Why? Isn't it there? Because I'm thinking if it's along Mozambique and it does appear like to be trending southwards, there must be something happening here.
Well, I'm not quite sure why it's not there, but the activities seem to be focusing on the east and west coast.
Sure.
And therefore, to attract the competence shortage, we see ourselves as growing our activities in the neighboring countries, like Angola, like Namibia, like Mozambique. And by growing those sectors, we can then attract more people to the sector and at least provide those training and development exposure.
Yeah. Finally, Paul, if I may ask, we spoke earlier about the issues of a regulatory environment that's provided by the government. What would you like to see government address from a regulatory perspective?
Well, first of all, government, in our opinion, should create an environment that makes South African companies more competitive, and that talks to issues of seafarer tax regimes, because we're losing seafarers to international jurisdictions where they can get tax exemption.
You are saying we are not competitive?
We are not competitive. There are issues of tax levies on fuel, because foreign companies can provide those services more competitive due to cheaper fuel. So we would like government to look at those issues, tonnage tax regime, cabotage structures, and creating incentives for companies to actually grow so that they can bring new entrants into the market.
Are they listening?
They start listening. I think the start of the SAMI conference is probably the first visible indication that government is now taking the sector seriously.